Please like this video and subscribe. Your help is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Before I get into it, here's why I'm telling this the way I'm telling it. A lot of guys miss the moment a marriage quietly switches contracts. Not with a dramatic speech, with tone, with hard pass, with someone treating you like you're just in the way. This story isn't about chasing answers. It's about recognizing early disrespect, protecting your resources, and moving clean when the other person wants the comfort of a marriage without the responsibility of one. If you've ever felt your home turn into a roommate situation, pay attention to what happens when you stop begging for basic decency. The real lesson here is simple. Boundaries aren't speeches. Boundaries are logistics. I walked into our house in Austin that night like I always did. Keys in the little ceramic bowl by the entryway. Boots off. Work brains still buzzing. Deadlines, subcontractors, weather delays, the usual project manager circus. Victoria was at the sink. At the sink is generous. She was holding a wine glass under the faucet like she was auditioning for world's most busy person, but the glass wasn't even dirty. Her thumb was doing laps on her phone, eyes locked on the screen like it was giving her oxygen. I stood there for a second, watching it like a guy watching a traffic light that's been stuck on red too long. "Hey," I said, not loud, not needy, just normal. She answered, not looking up. I rolled my shoulders once, let it go. Then I tried the simple adult move. No therapy talk. No, we need to talk. Just a plan. Saturday, I started. I can grab us a late table at that place you like. The one with the patio. 9-ish. No heavy stuff. Just dinner. The water kept running. The fake washing continued. Then she hit me with it. Instant, clean, cold. Hard pass. I blinked once. Hard pass. She finally turned her head a few degrees, like I'd interrupted a podcast. That crowd is boring. And I'm out. The words didn't land like annoyance. They landed like dismissal. Like I was a coworker asking her to cover a shift. Out where? I asked. Not jealous. Not accusing. Just that sounded bigger than dinner. Victoria shut off the water, set the glass down with a soft clink, still not really looking at me. Out. Don't start. I leaned against the counter across from her, keeping my voice level. I'm not starting anything. I asked a question. She exhaled like I was exhausting. You planned your little routines. How about mine? There it was. Not I'm tired. Not I'm stressed. A line in the sand. Her life on one side, mine on the other, and somehow I was still paying for the beach house. I nodded slowly. Okay. She glanced up then, quick and sharp, like she expected a bigger reaction. Instead, I just picked up my phone from the island and tossed it into my work bag. Victoria's voice stayed flat. Good. Don't make it weird. I almost laughed. Almost. Right? I said. Because I'm the one doing theater in here. She didn't respond. She just went back to her screen. That was the moment I logged it. Not as pain, as data. The tone, the wording, the casual contempt. It wasn't a fight. It was a status update. You're not my partner. Later that night, I heard the garage door around 12:40. She came in loud, heels tossed near the mudroom, cabinet doors bumping, ice clattering into a glass. Not drunk, just careless, like nobody else lived there. I was on the couch with my laptop, reviewing a schedule for Monday. She walked in, stopped, and looked surprised. You're up. Not hi. Not everything okay. Just you exist? I shut the laptop calmly. Yeah, I live here. She gave a tiny shrug. Don't wait up. I'm not, I replied. She paused like she wanted to say something else, then didn't. She walked past me, phone already in her hand again, and disappeared down the hallway. I sat there in the quiet after her door closed, and I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt clarity. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have moved even faster. But that night was enough. The rules had changed, so I changed mine. The next morning, I didn't bring it up. No questions. No, we need to talk. I got up at 6, ran through emails, and left for the office early. At lunch, I called Joshua. Joshua's my friend from way back. He's a paramedic, the kind of guy who can stay calm while other people panic, and he's allergic to nonsense. He answered on the second ring. Done? You bleeding? Not today, I said. Got 5 minutes? For you? Sure. What's up? I kept my voice casual. I need a sanity check. My house feels like a rental, and my wife's acting like I'm a noise complaint. Joshua didn't laugh. That's how I knew he took it seriously. How long? He asked. Months, I admitted. But now it's colder. Like she's not even trying to hide it. Any direct stuff? He asked. Or just vibes and attitude? She told me, you planned your little routines. I've got mine. Joshua went quiet for a beat. Then, that's not a vibe. That's a memo. Yeah, I said. That's how it felt. What are you going to do? He asked. I didn't hesitate. I'm going to stop chasing. And I'm going to confirm reality before I move. Joshua let out a slow breath. Okay, that's you. You don't swing blind. Exactly. Do you want names? He asked. People I've used for stuff like this? I already found someone, I said. Gabriel. Private investigator. Clean reputation. Discreet. Joshua gave a low whistle. You're not playing. No, I said. I'm just not volunteering to be stupid. Good, Joshua said. And Dan? Keep it calm. Don't give her a scene to weaponize. I don't do scenes, I replied. I do outcomes. After lunch, I called Gabriel. Sure call. Professional. No drama. I don't need you to be creative, I told him. I need you to be accurate. Gabriel's voice was smooth, older guy, probably seen every version of this story. Accuracy is the whole job. What do you need confirmed? Patterns, I said. Late nights. Girls' nights. What out actually means. You'll get a report, he said. Dates, times, locations. Photo documentation if it's relevant. Good, I replied. And keep it quiet. It's always quiet, he said. Unless you want it loud. I don't, I said. I want it clean. That evening, I came home and didn't ask where she'd been. Didn't ask what she wanted for dinner. I cooked for myself, cleaned as I went, and went to bed early. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen and stopped. Victoria was there, smiling. Not her usual tight smile. A bright, polished one. On the counter, a plate of blueberry pancakes. Not messy pancakes. I tried pancakes. These were perfectly round, like she'd practiced. She glanced up. Morning. I set my coffee down slowly. Morning. She turned the stove off, picked up a plate, and slid it toward me. I made your favorite. I raised an eyebrow. You remember my favorite? Her smile didn't flicker. Of course I do. There's also a new gadget on the counter, some shiny little kitchen device. She tapped it lightly like it was a prize. Look, she said. I found this thing online. It makes everything easier. Convenient, I said. She stepped closer, light touch on my shoulder. Too timed. Too smooth. I know I've been busy, she said. But I want us to be good. I took a sip of coffee. Being good starts with not treating each other like furniture. Her eyes narrowed just a hair, then the smile returned. I'm trying. Noted, I replied. She leaned on the counter, voice suddenly soft. The girls want to do a weekend trip. There it was. She kept it casual, like she was asking about groceries. 2 nights. Back Sunday. You okay with that? I chewed slowly, buying myself one more second. You don't need my permission, I said. You're not a teenager. Her smile twitched. I'm just checking in. No. Y correcta. You're checking if I'll stay convenient. Victoria laughed, lightly like I'd made a joke. Daniel. I met her eyes. Do what you were going to do. She held my gaze, then softened again. You're being weird. I shrugged. I'm being accurate. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away fast, but I didn't squeeze back either. Just neutral. Come on, she said. Don't be like this. Like what? I asked. Calm. Cold, she shot back. I smiled once. You invented the temperature, Vic. I'm just dressing for it. Her phone buzzed. She checked it immediately, then looked up like she hadn't. So Saturday, she said back to sweet tone. We'll leave around noon. I'll text you when we get there. Sure, I said. Drive safe. That night, I didn't confront her. I didn't beg her to stay. I just texted Gabriel. Weekend trip. Watch the pattern. Report by Sunday. On Friday afternoon, I stopped by Anthony's office. Anthony's not a guy you go to for hand-holding. He's a lawyer who speaks like a spreadsheet. Exactly what I wanted. He looked up when I walked in. Daniel, you look like you're here for prevention, not repair. Correct, I said. He gestured to the chair. Tell me facts, not feelings. So I did. Timeline, behavior shifts, resource use, shared accounts, property, noranting. Anthony nodded, taking notes. You're wise to get clarity before you change anything. If you're going to separate finances, you do it clean. Document everything. Keep communications calm. I don't do messy, I said. Anthony's mouth tilted like he almost approved. Good. If she escalates, you stay consistent. No threats. No lectures. Just decisions. That's the plan, I said. When I got home Friday night, Victoria was already dressed, suitcase by the door, energy buzzing like she was late for a concert. She kissed my cheek, quick, performative. Bye, she said. Don't work too hard. I won't, I replied. She paused like she expected more. I gave her nothing else. She walked out, heels clicking, and I watched her taillights disappear. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. Victoria, card isn't going through for gas. I stared at the text and actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was honest. That was her check-in. Not miss you. Not love you. The money needs to work. I replied, use your own. Drive safe. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then she called. I answered once. Yeah. Her voice was tight. What do you mean use my own? It's our card. It's my account, I corrected. And I'm not funding mystery weekends. It's not a mystery, she snapped. It's the girls. I kept my tone flat. Then the girls can spot you. You'll pay them back. You're being controlling, she said fast, like she'd rehearsed it. I chuckled quietly. No, Vic controlling will be telling you not to go. I'm just not sponsoring it. Silence. Then her voice went sweeter, almost pleading. Daniel, don't do this right now. I'm not doing anything, I said. I'm letting you do whatever you want. With your own money. She exhaled hard. Unbelievable. Safe drive, I said, and ended the call. That was my first real initiative. Not petty, not punitive, just a boundary. Access to my resources requires respect, not entitlement. Saturday morning, Gabriel texted, confirmed. Not with friends. That was all he wrote. Just enough to open the loop and tighten my stomach. I drove to a job site on the east side. New builds, framing stage. My superintendent, Marla, met me by the trailer. Marla's a straight shooter. She doesn't do gossip, and she reads people like lumber grades. You're early, she said. You okay? I'm fine, I answered. Need to walk the site. We stepped through the frame lines. Workers nodded. Tools clanked. Normal life. Marla glanced at me sideways. You're quiet today. Just handling something personal, I said. Marla snorted. Personal always tries to ruin professional. Don't let it. I don't, I said. That's why I'm here. My phone buzzed again. A photo from Gabriel. Victoria walking beside Ryan. Close. Comfortable. Not old friend at a coffee shop comfortable. More like this is our weekend comfortable. Different location in the background. Not a group. Not a crowd. Just them. I didn't react out loud. I just saved it. Marla watched my face for a second. Bad news. Clarifying news, I said. She nodded once, like she understood that language. Clarity is expensive, but worth it. I looked at the framing, then back at my phone. Yeah, I'm paying for it either way. That afternoon, Gabriel called. Reports so far? I asked. He didn't waste time. Friday night, she met Ryan at a restaurant downtown. 2 hours. Saturday morning, they drove out toward the hill country. Stopped at 2 locations. Photos confirm physical closeness. They checked into a place with 1 reservation. No group. I swallowed the urge to ask why. I didn't need why. I needed proof. Send the full report to my email, I said. Timestamp everything. You'll have it, he replied. Do you want Sunday coverage? Yes, I said. Until she returns. You got it, he said. And Daniel? Yeah. This is a pattern, he said calmly. Not an accident. I know, I replied. That's why I'm moving first. That evening, Joshua came by my house. He stepped into the kitchen, saw the clean counters, the silence, and nodded. She gone? He asked. Weekend, I said. Supposedly. Joshua leaned on the island. And actually, I slid my phone across to him with Gabriel's photos. Joshua looked jaw tightening. So she's building a second life while you pay for the first. Exactly, I said. Joshua pushed the phone back. What now? I already met with Anthony, I said. No drama. I'm doing logistics. Joshua's brows lifted. You mean you're pulling the plug? I'm removing access, I corrected. She can live whatever story she wants. Just not inside my house on my tab. Joshua nodded, slow approval. Need help packing? No, I said. I can do it. He tilted his head. You sure? I'm sure, I replied. I want this calm. If there's a memory attached to every shirt, I'll never finish. I'm treating it like a move. Joshua gave a half smile. That's cold. That's adult, I answered. Cold is pretending nothing's happening. He stayed another 10 minutes. Practical stuff. What to say if she calls, how to keep it short. Then he left with one last line. Don't argue with a person who wants fog, Joshua said. Just change the weather. Sunday morning, another message from Victoria popped up. Victoria, miss you. Wish you were here. I stared at it. It was almost impressive. She could type a whole sentence with zero connection to reality. I didn't reply. By noon, Gabriel sent the completed report. Dates, times, places, photos. A clean package of truth. That was the kill turn for me. Not the existence of Ryan. The fact she'd been living like this while keeping my house as her base and my money as her safety net, and still talking to me like I was the problem for noticing. I printed the report, put it in a folder. Then I called Anthony. Ready, I said. Anthony didn't ask emotional questions. Do you want a temporary agreement drafted? I want simple, I answered. Separation of accounts. Property boundaries. Communication through you if needed. Then do not deviate, Anthony said. Keep it factual. I'm built for factual, I said. That afternoon, I started packing. Not rage packing. Not throwing things. I pulled boxes from the garage and labeled them with a marker. Clothes. Bathroom. Shoes. Miscellaneous. I separated anything sentimental, wedding album, cards, little keepsakes, into a single box I labeled history. Not because I wanted to keep it close. Because I didn't want it weaponized later. By evening, the guest room looked like a tidy shipping center. Monday morning, I loaded the boxes into my truck and drove to her parents' place. They lived out in a quieter suburb. Nice house. Trim lawn. The kind of place that screams, we don't do drama, which meant this was going to hit like a slap. Her dad opened the door. He looked surprised to see me with a truck full of boxes. Daniel, he said, everything all right? I kept my tone respectful. Her things. Take care of them. Please don't throw them away. His face tightened. Where's Victoria? With friends, I said. For now. Her mom appeared behind him, eyes sharp. Did something happen? Yes, I said, and I'm handling it quietly. I'm not asking you to pick sides. I'm dropping off her belongings. Her dad stepped onto the porch, lowering his voice. Is she safe? She's safe, I said. This isn't about safety. It's about choices. He stared at the boxes, then at me. You're serious. I don't do fake serious, I replied. Her mom crossed her arms. Is this some misunderstanding? I held my gaze steady. No. A long pause. Then her dad nodded once, like a man swallowing something bitter. Put them in the garage, he said. Thank you, I replied. I unloaded the boxes neatly. No speeches. No insults. Just delivery. Before I left, her mom tried one more time. Daniel, she said softer, you two can talk this out. I shook my head slightly. Talking only works when both people are in the same marriage. Then I drove home. On my kitchen island, I left her key and a note. Your things are safe. Ask your parents. That was it. No accusations. No vaguing. Just reality. That evening, my phone rang. Victoria. I answered once because I'm not a kid hiding behind silence. She came in hot. What did you do? I looked around my quiet kitchen. I made dinner. What did you do? Don't do that, she snapped. My stuff is gone. Correct, I said. Your stuff is safe. Where is it? She demanded. With your parents, I replied. You can pick it up when you're ready. She breathed hard into the phone. You had no right. I smiled slightly. I had every right. It's my house too, and I'm done living with someone who treats me like a nuisance. You're overreacting, she fired back. This is insane. Insane is using a marriage like a storage unit, I said. Anything else? She went quiet for half a second, then switched tactics. Daniel, please. Can we just talk when I get back? No, I said. Talking was your job months ago. Now it's logistics. Her voice turned sweet, too sweet. I love you. I kept my tone flat. You love comfort. She hissed my name like it was a warning. You're being cruel. No, I said. I'm being finished. She hung up. Tuesday afternoon, she showed up at my job site. That was her second illusion. Not pancakes. A full performance. Marla texted me. Your wife is here. She's smiling like a politician. I walked toward the trailer and saw Victoria standing there in a sundress, holding a bag of food like she was the poster for supportive spouse. She stepped forward. Marla stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching like it was pay-per-view. Victoria lifted the bag. I brought lunch. I looked at the bag, then at her. Why are you here? Her smile stayed. Because I miss you. Because I want us to be okay. Marla coughed, not subtle. I'll give you 2 a minute, she said, and walked away slowly, still clearly listening. Victoria lowered her voice. You embarrassed me. I tilted my head. You embarrassed you. Daniel, she said, touchy tone, I made a mistake. I've been stressed. I've been distant. But this removing my things? Cutting the card? That's extreme. I nodded once. Extreme is thinking you can live 2 lives and keep my wallet as a backup generator. Her eyes flashed. It wasn't like that. I kept my voice calm. Then explained Ryan. Her face froze for a fraction of a second. That tiny glitch told me everything. She recovered fast. Ryan is a friend. Sure, I said. And I'm the bank. You're being paranoid, she snapped. I leaned slightly toward her. Try a different script. That one doesn't work on me. She stepped closer, hand brushing my forearm like we were on a date. Can we just reset? I'll come home tonight. We'll cook. We'll talk. I'll fix it. I pulled my arm back, gently, like moving away from a hot pan. No. Victoria's smile cracked. You're really doing this. I already did it, I corrected. Her voice tightened. So what? You're just done? I'm done being disrespected, I replied. Those aren't the same. Marla's voice floated over from a few feet away. Everything good here? I looked at Marla. All good. Victoria glanced at Marla, then back at me, and her face shifted, like she realized her performance had witnesses and her control wasn't absolute. She leaned in again, quiet and sharp. You think you're so calm. You think you're winning. I smiled once. I'm not competing. I am exiting. She turned on her heel and walked back to her car, lunch bag still in her hand like a prop that didn't get used. As she drove off, my phone buzzed. Gabriel. She's scheduled to return Wednesday, 6:15 p.m., likely direct to home. I texted back. Home is no longer her stage. Wednesday, I didn't go home early. I went to Anthony's office and picked up the finalized paperwork. Simple, clean, no theatrics. Then I went back to the house and made sure everything was exactly how I wanted it. Her key was still on the island. Notes still there. Guest room empty. Closet space cleared on her side. I set the folder on the kitchen island and waited. At 6:24, the front door opened. Victoria stepped in like she owned the air. Suitcase rolling behind her. Eyes already scanning for control. She saw the empty hallway, the quiet, the key, the note. Her face hardened. So you're really doing this? I stayed seated at the island. Yes. She dropped the suitcase upright, like it was a mic drop. My card didn't work. My things are gone. You didn't answer my texts. Correct, I said. She stepped closer, voice rising. How could you do that to me? I reached forward and slid the folder toward her. Read. She stared at it like it was dirty. What is this? Facts, I replied. She opened it, flipped a page, and her mouth tightened. Another page. Another. Photos. Dates. Locations. The anger drained into silence. Then she tried the first defense, casual and insulting. We're friends. I nodded. You and Ryan can be whatever you want. Just not while you're using my house as your base. She snapped into the next line. You're paranoid. I pointed at the photos. Paranoia doesn't come with timestamps. Her eyes darted, brain searching for an exit. I was with Jenna. I tilted my head. Call her. Victoria froze. Because she knew I would. She slammed the folder shut. Fine. I was with Ryan. I didn't react. I just stood up and picked up her key from the island. Your keys are there, I said, placing it next to the folder. Your things are at your parents'. We're done. Paperwork is in the folder. You'll get the rest through Anthony. That door behind you, use it. Victoria's face flushed. Over a weekend with an old friend? You'd end a marriage? I looked at her, steady. Over a pattern. Over months of you being gone from a house you still wanted me to fund. Over the fact you replaced me and kept my wallet. She laughed once, sharp and bitter. You didn't even fight. I shrugged. I don't fight for someone who left months ago. The outcomes. She stepped closer like she wanted a reaction. Any crack she could climb into. You think you're so righteous. I think I'm done, I replied. Big difference. Her eyes flashed. You're going to regret this. I nodded once. Maybe, but I won't be confused. She grabbed the folder, then stopped, realizing she didn't have a key that mattered anymore. You're really throwing me out, she said, voice suddenly softer, trying the last lever. I held eye contact. You moved out a long time ago. I'm just making it official. Her jaw worked like she wanted to say something cutting. Then she grabbed her suitcase handle again, turned, and walked out. At the door, she paused and looked back, hoping for a final plead. A chase. A scene. I gave her a calm finish instead. Take care of yourself, I said. Somewhere else. She left. Door closed. Quiet stayed quiet. That night, I slept like a man who finally stopped negotiating with disrespect. A few months later, my life looked different in all the right ways. I moved into a smaller place closer to downtown, clean mind, peaceful. I upgraded my truck because my old one had more miles than my patience. Work got better too. Funny how productivity improves when you're not living with constant tension. Joshua came by more often. We cooked. We watched games. We talked like men who aren't pretending. And yeah, I met someone new. Not a savior. Not a rebound. Just a woman who spoke like an adult and acted like she meant it. Simple respect. The kind that shouldn't feel rare. Victoria? I heard bits. Not from spying. From life. Her parents kept it polite but distant. Ryan didn't become the magical solution because real life doesn't work like that. She lost the comfort she was trying to keep, and it showed. Not in tragedy. In inconvenience. In sudden responsibility. In having to fund her own choices. And honestly, that was the whole point. Here's what I took from it. And what I'd tell any man sitting across from me with a cold coffee and a colder house. First, tone is information. When someone speaks to you like you're an obstacle, believe the message. I didn't wait for a dramatic confession or a perfect explanation. I listened to a hard pass, and I watched how she treated shared life like it was optional. That wasn't a bad week. That was a new system. Second, boundaries aren't speeches. The moment I stopped chasing and started acting, separating finances, documenting reality, planning clean steps, everything became clear. Her sudden sweetness wasn't love returning. It was control, try to reattach. Pancakes didn't erase patterns. Showing up with lunch at my job didn't rewrite timestamps. Third, the mistake would have been endless talking, endless explaining, trying to negotiate respect with someone who benefits from fog. If I had stayed in discussions, she would have stayed in control. Instead, I changed the environment. I made it impossible to keep the comfort while living a separate life. Respect is the baseline, not the prize at the end of your patience. The strongest move I made wasn't yelling. It was choosing outcomes over arguments and letting my calm logistics say what my words didn't need to repeat.